Hello again, everybody. It's been several months since I feel like the last time we spoke. I feel like it's been even longer still. This might be probably one of the hardest videos I've ever had to make because, well, unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, let's cover the bad stuff first, because I think the bad stuff will ease the pain a little bit about the things about to come up next. The first is that for the last 10 days, YouTube has been on an absolute tear, taking down my channels left, right, and center. They claim that my channels violate multiple community guidelines. However, because of their description about their policy, they are somehow under the impression that all of the channel, because it works something like this. YouTube first removed a channel called Raging Reality Recovery, which was a channel specifically devoted to psychological welfare, about health, about taking care of yourself mentally and physically, and YouTube took it down all the same. And because of they said I violated community guidelines, but they never actually stopped to say what had I actually done at all, because they seem to suspect that it's either under spam, fraudulent and deceptive practices. But the problem is that YouTube, as far as they are concerned, think that I think they're under the impression that I fit in literally all of them. And I will sit here right now and I will defend myself to the very end of my life by straight up saying that I completely and vehemently deny all allegations that YouTube have made against me. I vehemently deny the fact that anything I've done was made to deceive or to lie or to make myself look fraudulent in any way. Nothing I've done in the last 7 years of my life, specifically making videos for this channel, across all of my channels, I should say, there is nothing about it that I would suggest for 1 minute I have done anything of the sort. That is not who I am. That sort of thing sticks with you to the rest of your days. It is not within me to do that sort of thing, and, well, why would I jeopardize all my hard work to do that? Logically, it makes no sense. Theoretically, it makes even less sense. And from a business perspective, it makes the least sense of all. It makes no sense whatsoever for me to destroy my reputation off the back of something that I didn't even do. So when I made my appeal, oh, and by the way, YouTube also has the thing is that if you believe your channel was removed for the wrong reasons, then you can submit a whole an appeal to whether or not you want to say whether you thought your channel was removed incorrectly. They give you maximum 800 characters for you to plead your case. 800 words. I feel as if like that might be the very first time in my life, ladies and gentlemen, where I feel that maybe I've been under the cosh of the whole saying free speech is under attack. Because ironically, it's not freedom of speech that's under attack. It's freedom to explain yourself. It's freedom to defend your own case. Granted, I may not be, a US citizen, but surely the laws in this country must apply because, well, I have the right to defend myself in any such circumstances. But the problem is that YouTube, after I submitted my appeal, 2 days later, they said, no, you broke the rules, whatever they were, and your channel will remain removed. And then it escalated, because before long, YouTube was removing channels left, right, and center. Some I hadn't even started uploading videos to. Some of them had videos that were all ready to go for the relaunch of RageCon 4. It seemed as if YouTube were doing this completely at random, and it didn't seem as if there was anything that I could do about it. Some had no it was no free strikes you're out to any of this either. It's just they don't even warn you about it. It's just that the law is whatever YouTube decides it wants to make it. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the sort of thing that is, I'm beginning now to have second thoughts. In fact, to be honest, I would rather move on to, you know what? I'd rather move on to Dailymotion. I would rather move on to Rumble. I would rather go to those sites. I would rather do that than stick around on YouTube. Because you know what? All the work I've done over the last 12 months, I'm not prepared to lose that. I'm not prepared to lose what I've worked hard for. And then YouTube just decide, no, it doesn't count. And like that, it's all gone. Thankfully, because this is not the first time this has happened, because this time I've actually saved all of my work onto external hard drives, it means that no matter what happens, YouTube can't get to that. And there's nothing Google can do about it either. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm going to see if I can still make this work. Because you know what? I feel like I owe it to myself. Something I feel like I've been kept out of the loop out for a very, very long time. We have in total 30 days before the relaunch of RageCon 4. I have in total about 20 of my 50 channels remaining. I suspect the second I start uploading to anything I can use to sort of like act as a new this, that, or the other, YouTube will also have none of it, and they will start removing videos up there as well. As I said before, this whole system that YouTube is following seems to be completely at random, and it's done without any logical rhyme or reason. Also, they are a little bit too trigger happy to just decide to ban each or remove each channel, you know, as they feel like it. There's no point in denying that you are innocent until you have broken the law. As far as YouTube are concerned, and I'll say it again, the law is whatever YouTube decides it wants to make it. Now, of course, if I was richer, I would probably have just straight up taken YouTube to court, and I would have defended my case in public, because I feel like, you know what, I'll be able to write. I'll be writing a lot more than just 800 characters to defend my case. But because I don't, and because I'm not, we seem to have been, we are at a theoretical standstill at the moment. However, so whether or not I can even get RageCon 4 going at all is going to be a bit of a tricky issue because of all the reasons I mentioned. And it leaves me feeling a little bit paranoid that when I come to upload my next video, YouTube may decide it's completely had enough of me and they'll just remove all my channels in one fell swoop. Whether or not you guys even see this video, right, as far as I'm concerned, whether you guys see this video at all is going to be a very, very good question. Because I don't think YouTube are going to be very, very happy about the things I've had to say about them. And by the way, guys, I'm not the only person this has happened to. This has happened to quite a lot of other people, and for some strange reason, most of them actually managed to get their channels back. So what's the crack here? What's going on? And I reckon there probably would have been a lot of other people, if they were sat here right now, they would be like me and looking equally unimpressed, because I'm not particularly impressed with this behavior and this conduct. It's completely unfair, it's completely uncalled for, it's unprovoked, and as I said before, it doesn't seem as if YouTube have any sort of interest whatsoever in actually reading anything I say in terms of my appeals, and it seems as if they will just continue to act as before, whether they see fit or not, whether it makes sense from a legal perspective, from a morale perspective, from anything whatsoever. It's the sort of thing that genuinely makes me want to say, you know what, 7 years of my life completely wasted, because I'd rather just put my stuff down right now and just leave while I still have my dignity. But I mentioned the word dignity because that sort of brings me on to the next little thing I want to talk to you about. For those who don't know, and I'll try and keep this short, this year has been extraordinarily difficult because I ended up leaving a job at the beginning of the year because I underwent a pretty substantial and rather extensive mental breakdown. I don't think I received any sort of help. I definitely didn't receive any help whatsoever from who I was working with. And from the 2nd of January up until the beginning of April, I was unemployed. But basically, I had to do pretty much every single thing I can to find work. And my initial response to my experiences with the DWP is that they were not interested in seeing the way I saw it. I remember one time I was sat in front of my work coach and I absolutely had another breakdown because straight up I told them I couldn't hold out much longer and I needed to find work very, very quickly. And it was the complete apathy was the emotion that my work coach seemed particularly keen in mastering, because she had no emotion to me crying my eyes out. She had nothing to. All she did was she recommended me go on this 10-day course with the launch group. In it, you get free qualifications in customer service and like conflict management and stuff like that. So I ended up actually adding 3 more qualifications to my CV as a result of this. And when I asked her in the job center whether or not this would actually allow me to get work, would I get a work immediately after doing this, she said yes. Then a few days later, when I had to have my appointment with the DWP via the phone, the person they got me to talk to said that it wasn't and told me to redirect myself to the letter that I signed. So I kind of felt that, personally, ladies and gentlemen, you want to know what I honestly think? I think the only reason why they told me to do it was because it was going to make my work coach look good in front of her manager. Personally, I think that's it. Because I don't think there was any motivation behind that whatsoever, apart from to make somebody look good. And to be honest, I don't consider myself an angry man, ladies and gentlemen. I really, really don't. Because I would say when I get angry, I don't just get angry. I get, in my opinion, ladies and gentlemen, I get rather violent, like rather vicious, and I would say, I've never once had that moment where I have done something I will regret, but I keep fearing that one of these days I will get so angry, I will do something I will regret. Because the next step from that is doing something where I was so angry and something really, really bad happened. And guess what? I won't regret what I do. I don't want to go down that direction, ladies and gentlemen, but if I think very seriously about everything that's happened to me this year, I don't know what on earth, because I have no idea what I'm supposed to do. I don't know how anyone is supposed to, for 1 second, look at me and say, if I was in his position, I would have gone absolutely berserk. And then, you know what? Last week, that guy who drove into that crowd in Liverpool, why? What good does anybody think that? What does that solve? What good does anybody think that does? Why do that? I say that because apparently this morning there was somebody in Leicester who drove into a crowd as well. What? You know what? What the hell is wrong with people? I don't get it, guys. This is like, honestly, maybe I'm going off on a tangent with this one, but you know what? What the hell is wrong with people? Why? Why would anybody want to do that? Why does anybody what does driving into a crowd where, you know, there's kids, the elderly, there's the disabled, what good does anybody think trying to kill people actually for no reason whatsoever? Why does anybody think that why does anybody do that? Why? And don't think, by the way, that in any way solves my question about, you know, why I wouldn't go on a rampage. You don't want to know the reason why I wouldn't go on a rampage, ladies and gentlemen? I'm going to tell you exactly why. And it's not the answer you're probably thinking it is. Because I know fine well that it's not the right thing to do. I understand that. That's something that just, it's instinct. It's instinct. It's just something you just don't do. But there is kind of another underlying reason that I think almost comes at a very, very close second. And that is, you know what? I may feel like I may feel like I'm going through a hard time. I may feel like I'm struggling. I may feel like I've been bullied, I've been taken advantage of, I've been exploited, I've been mocked at, ripped off, manipulated. I may feel all of these things, but it's going to get a hell of a lot worse if I actually did something I would regret. And that's the truth, guys. I think things can get better. I do believe that. But can we have it happen a little soon, please? Because I really do not know, because this isn't even the end of it yet. I haven't even got to what's happened in April. Well, in April, up until right now, and hopefully quite a lot longer, I actually did get back into work. No thanks to the DWP, I must add. It was because of the recommendation of my brother as a reference that I actually started working in the kitchens at a little place in the village. And that, you know what? I managed to get myself back on my feet. Problem is, it's a 0-hour contract job. And to be honest, it's the sort of thing that I straight up, I don't like 0-hour contract jobs, because over the last 2 weeks, you know how many hours I've worked in the last 2 weeks, guys? 20. When I got paid on Friday, it was literally like 130 quid. 130 quid, guys, is not even worth getting. It's not even worth getting out of bed. I'm not joking when I say that, you know. And to say, and because this is going to be the second week in a row where that will happen, I'm just going to be completely honest where I say I'm not very happy about this. And sometimes trade will be so dead that even when I am meant to be working, they'll call and say, sorry, we won't need you today because we don't need that many staff. This is the same place of work that tried to say, well, this is their place of work too. And to be honest, I feel sometimes I do. You know what? Also, I think one of my problems is, guys, and I think it's possibly something I'm really going to have to watch over the next couple of years. Sometimes I think I choose precisely the wrong moment to start taking things personally. And this whole thing about YouTube, I straight up feel like I was going to have one of those moments where I was going to do exactly the worst thing to do at the worst possible moment. But I didn't. And I don't really know why I didn't. I decided to just completely give in and just, you know, give them absolutely everything they needed. Tell them that I would literally fly all the way out to wherever the hell Google is and literally, well, plan something. I'm not going to do that. But then again, even hearing myself say it has got me quite worried, because it's not the fact that not that I don't have the capacity to do something like that, but it's the fact that, well, they weren't willing to listen to me before. They weren't willing to take my side. They weren't willing to be in my... Nobody this year has actually been willing to put their neck out on the line for me. That's the thing that actually, you know what? When I ask for help, they won't do that. They'll just lie and they'll say, you know what, you will get work at the end of this if you stick this out. They don't say anything like that. They don't they don't even make promises they can keep. None of them did. Not school, not university, not the police, not anyone I've ever gone to has actually come to me and said that, you know what, we will help you out. And this is including jobs I've applied for where they said they would get back in touch with me within a week, and then they just go say, oh, we're just doing a financial background check. You'll hear from us next week. And they straight up never get back in touch. And this is from companies that I've applied for that actually have a very, very strong reputation. And they treat me absolutely like dirt. And yet I'm supposed to pretend that I'm the one who's supposed to care, who's supposed to make the effort. I'm the one who's got to It's not fair, guys. It's absolutely not fair. You know why it's not fair? Because they feel that they can do that to a man like me. That's why it's unfair. Because they think that that's the attitude to take, and they'll think that they can get away with it. It's the attitude of, we can just bully someone. We can bully a grown man. We can bully someone who can't fight back. We could do that because the second he tries to stand up for himself, we'll say he's a menace and he's a threat, and we'll have to get people involved. That's the honest truth. I live in a world in which they've absolutely destroyed my self-respect, and they act as though I haven't even got the right to that anymore. That's the honest truth about this whole situation. I feel like they've taken something away from me. It may not even be my self-respect. It may not even be my dignity. I think it's something else. I think they've taken away my pride. They've taken it away because they think that I don't reserve the right to be proud about anything I've done or anything I've actually gone on a right way to be. They think that they shouldn't be impressed by anything I've done or how I've tried to hold it in and put a brave face on everything. Still, there's still 7 months left of this year. RageCon 4 is only 30 days away. There are ways round this. There's a lot of ways round this dilemma. There's a lot of things that actually, you know what, I know I can do. There's a lot more things. I think there's a lot more things to come this year. For better or worse. I think there's a lot to be said about those who do persevere. I think that even as I sit here crying my eyes out, exactly as I did in front of the DWP, exactly as I did at the beginning of this year, I think despite how hard I feel like I've fallen, or how hard I feel like, in light of everything, I'm now completely at the beginning once again to where I started. Except no, I'm not. It's nothing like that, because that was 5 months ago. It's now 5 months later. And when I think about exactly the sort of hell I'm living in, it's made me realize that let's forget about everything I've lost. Let's consider everything I have gained in the last 5 months. well, one, I can now see the force of the phrase, "We shall no longer have need of irons and red hot pokers. Hell is other people." I don't know why, but I straight up love that phrase. Hell is other people. It's something I don't think I'll be letting go of anytime soon. What can I say? I quite like that. Second, I may feel deep down inside, as I feel right now, that if my pride was ever at jeopardy or at force ever again, then the thing to do was, well, not to be like that, but to actually reach out to people. I think I can still do that. And I don't want to say I don't want to have the impression that, well, I just want everyone to solve my problems. I want to be able to sort them myself. And you know what? There's nothing. People have this belief. This. I think maybe I'm the one who had this idea that I was considering myself to be almost cowardly whenever I tried to stand up to people, and except no. I've said this before, and I'll keep saying it again. I'm not a coward, and I'm certainly not a bully or anything like that. You know what? Standing up to bullies is brave and admirable. It's just no bully in history will ever call himself a bully, but that's fair enough. And it doesn't matter how big they are or how small they are. I can absolutely stand up for myself. I can absolutely stand for my own. I don't need people to start now telling me of all people, that I should just roll over and accept it, and that, well, I can do just about anything I want, because you know what? I'm not breaking the laws. I'm not doing anything wrong. If I'm not doing anything wrong, then I've got nothing to feel guilty about. Yeah, I like that. I like the fact that, you know what? This is tantamount to, this is the sort of thing that bullying can do to people, you know, guys. It can reduce them to and let me tell you something right now, guys. Reducing somebody to tears is not clever. It's not funny. It's not brave. It's not smart. It's systematic of a bully. And you know what? I feel like I've got a few bullies of my own, and I feel like before this year is over, I'm going to have to do quite a lot of standing up for myself to do. I think that's what I've got to do, because if I don't, then I've got to be able to do that. Nobody else. I've got to be able to do that. Especially because even earlier tonight, there was something that was just embarrassing from, I would say, a pretty meta perspective. I was in a queue in a supermarket, and it just so happened that the checkout I was on, it was in operation, but there was nobody there. Then there was two people who just sort of like, who both worked at this place, and they just kind of looked at each other, because I think it was like, well, do you want to do it? It seemed to be the conversation of, well, do you want to do it? And then one just sort of walked over in a huff, no enthusiasm whatsoever, and she kind of just, no enthusiasm, no smile whatsoever. Maybe she was going through a hard day, but you know what? But then again, I'm sorry for actually, you know, doing your job was inconveniencing you that much. If you want to tell me to leave and all that, then that's fine. You know what? I'll go give my money to someone else. Anyway, I just kind of felt like, well, what did I do to her to make her night so dreadful? Because I was just wanting to, you know, be served and stuff like that. It's just, again, some people are just too rude. And I don't like that, guys. I don't like that one bit. Now, after all that, is there anything else I want to say? Well, there's a few things I want to close this out with. First of all, the war rages on. Raging Reality lives on. Raging Reality does not die. Raging Reality is my own personal vendetta against the world that I am in, this hell that I'm in. Because I think it is absolutely possible to do something about this. I just don't really know who I'm supposed to turn to. I don't really know. I need to find the right people who could actually understand, and people who are empathetic enough, not apathetic, to see it from how I see it. So RageCon 4 will still go ahead, even if it is the last thing that I do. Because, again, they can't stop me from trying. Nobody can stop me from trying. My pride and my dignity is worth more than anything else. That, for me, right now, is the most important thing. My pride, my dignity, my self-respect, my personal well-being. And something that, if I start lying to myself, then I'll just be as bad as the rest. And I am not doing that. I am not giving up on myself. Because if I give up on myself, I'll be dead. That's it. I literally will not even think twice about it. I'll just straight up be dead. Because what on earth have I got to live for then, if it isn't to actually get myself out of the situation? There is, and finally, I want my pride back. That's what I want. It's the only thing I want right now. I want my pride back. Something that they've stolen from me. Well, the only thing to do now, ladies and gentlemen, is, well, it's time to get to work. There is work to be done, ladies and gentlemen. There is always more work.